Hi, my name is Gerhard Gschwandtner. Welcome to Selling Power TV. Today we have the distinct pleasure of meeting with Adam Markel, and he is the author of a wonderful new book called Pivot, the Art and Science of Reinventing Your Career and Your Life. What gave you the idea that things need reinventing?
Myself, for one thing. What better example of the need or the desire for reinvention than to look in the mirror and see it standing right in front of you? I sometimes kid people, or I kid about this, and I say, well, I'm a recovering attorney. I spent 18 years as a New York City lawyer, and woke up every day kind of feeling a bit of dread about what I was going to be doing, and some anxiousness and agitation, and it didn't feel good. And I got to be in my late 30s and was asking questions like, is this all there is? And even though I had so much to be grateful for, married my college sweetheart, still married to this day, 27 years, have a beautiful, beautiful relationship and 4 healthy kids. And we were very, well off compared to many people financially, but yet still unfulfilled. And to me, success without fulfillment feels like failure, and that's what it felt like to me.
Define fulfillment versus meaning.
To me, I think fulfillment and meaning are similar.
Okay.
Yeah, because when you're doing something that you feel is meaningful, you will also in turn have a feeling of fulfillment. So I think they're related. Maybe I would say it this way. They're like dominoes. So the first domino would be doing something that has meaning to it, and the second domino is this feeling of fulfillment.
So is there also a question whether the success you've achieved on the outside is not finding its equivalent on the feelings and fantasies and thoughts you have on the inside?
When there's a misalignment or a lack of alignment between the things that are showing up in in your physical world and the things that are going on the inside, that creates a sort of a disconnect. And then at some point, if those two things don't line up, like you have great success on the outside, but you're unhappy on the inside, the outside will eventually become sabotaged. You'll sabotage your health, or your relationships will suffer, or your money will become sabotaged, and that kind of thing. So I sort of had this awareness early enough in the process that I was able to arrest it before I made too many really, really bad choices.
So it's really interesting because people go on a squirrel cage professionally, and then they think this is the path to fulfillment, and they don't realize there's a tension between fulfillment and self-sabotage.
They're close cousins, let's put it that way.
Describe how you came up with the idea, let's pivot that, and we're not going to stay on that course, we are going to change.
I would say I'm a basketball player. I'm not a great basketball player, but I love the sport of basketball. And at one point I'm watching a basketball game and I see this situation where a player gets the ball, maybe they're dribbling or it was passed to them and they're stopped. And the defense kind of, gets around them in that position because it's quite, you can get very defensive very quickly. And what you can do in basketball is you can pivot. You can leave one foot planted while the other foot allows you to turn 180 degrees. Actually, it allows you to turn 360 degrees around if you'd like, which creates more vision. And that to me became an analogy for what I had done in my life when I had pivoted from practicing law full-time to doing work as a personal development teacher and trainer. And I was traveling the world and speaking to thousands, hundreds of thousands of people yearly. And I started to write a book and all of that kind of thing. And that pivot analogy became very focal for me in terms of being able to create greater clarity, greater vision, and then to turn a defensive situation into one where you could be on the offense.
So when you share your message with people that are sitting in the audience, they're all hungry for the next stage of life. They want to get some tools. What are some of the tools that you're sharing?
One of the things that I share with them is that the quality of your life is equal to the quality of your rituals. By that, I mean rituals are conscious practices. What's your practice for starting the day? What's your practice for productivity before 10 a.m.? What's your practice in the evening before you go to bed? And I use rituals, and again, these practices, as a way to create conscious competency in certain areas where you're currently not competent, or you may just be completely unaware, let's say, of the way more highly successful people operate, so that you can become consciously competent at something. That's the first domino. Once you're consciously competent, you no longer have to think about it. It becomes habitual. So I just sort of wanted to go a little bit further up the waterfall, if you will, before something is a habit. What creates the habit, and why everybody who's reading the book or thinking about these things can create new rituals, new practices that ultimately become new habits. And that's how we change our lives.
So in other words, instead of dispersing your energies, you focus them and put them in time slot that correspond to what you feel most comfortable with, and give you more productivity.
We're creatures of habit, so the things we do, we tend to do because we're comfortable with them. And the things we don't do because we're uncomfortable. So, there's an old Zen saying that if what you were looking for was where you were looking, you probably would have found it by now.
Share with me, if you will, what do you do to create a habit where you stay in the present moment without being focused on the past, without being worried about the future?
It takes practice, and it takes the desire to begin with, and the awareness to begin with, that it is actually a benefit to you in your life. And I don't mean just a benefit like because you're more calm, or you're in a meditative state. It's a benefit in business. Many of the most successful people I know have meditation practices, not because they want to just calm themselves down. I mean, that's a benefit for sure. But it's that in the present, you have access to infinite intelligence. You have access to things that are outside of your current consciousness.
Let's take a deep breath and be in the moment.
Gerhard, that's it.
I think we have the choice. Either we challenge ourselves to get the forward momentum to greater meaning, or we are becoming the puppet of circumstance.
And you can be the puppet to anything. I mean, that's really it. You can make your decisions either with fear or with love, with idols or with spirit. And at all times we're making decisions consciously or unconsciously. So yeah, you can be a puppet to the fear and the usual insecurities and doubts and things that run people's lives, right? The craving for certainty, even, or you can be a servant to spirit, a servant to your heart and to the flow of life, which is just beautiful, really.
Yeah, that's what I like about the book Pivot, because it applies to your health, it applies to money, it applies to relationships and everything else. I think Pivot is a great mindset to have.
And the truth is, you're always kind of in a situation where you either are able to reinvent or you die. If you don't continue to innovate yourself, you perish, you disappear. And nothing can be clearer than the 500 most profitable, influential companies in the United States in 1955, and only 12% of those companies exist today. And that's just remarkable. So we're in a constant state of needing to reiterate and reimagine and reinvent us.
And also we need to be mindful that if we want to embrace a better future, we need to make a conscious decision to let go of the past that no longer serves us.
If you're stuck in the past, if you're working even so exclusively in the present and the past, there's a significant chance that you will not be around in the future.
Well, on that cheerful note, I want to thank you, Adam, for sharing your insights. And for anybody who wants to get more information, go to Amazon.com and get the book Pivot.